Hi there, and welcome to my next video series. I'm going to be diving into the idea of how we are separated from our true self by our culture. I'm going to be talking a lot about the patriarchy, our patriarchal culture. I'm going to be talking about internalized misogyny in women. I'm going to be talking about our biases. I'm going to be talking about how do we get back to who we are? How do we connect to our voice again? How do we let go of those stories of how we're too much, how we're not enough? How do we release the shame? How do we connect to our grief? How do we connect to our anger? How do we sit in discomfort? All of these are things that I'm going to be talking about over the next few weeks in this video series that I'm creating. This series is in anticipation of my next circle, which is called Wild Woman Within, Reconnecting to Our Forgotten Knowing. And it is a 12-month circle that has limited space available. There will be a total of 13 of us. That includes me, and there are currently 11 spaces available right now as of me recording this, which is in mid-July. That's when I'm recording it. I don't know the exact date. I think it's July 10th. Anyways, so you can look at my website and you'll see a link for that circle there. There's an application process, and I'll talk about that later in the video series. But right now, I wanted to introduce myself a little bit and talk about all the ways that our culture wants us disconnected and how it disconnects us. So again, I'm Gwen Raymundi. I am a marriage and family therapist in Washington State, a licensed marriage and family therapist associate in Washington State. I have been working with families and women for the last 5 or 6 years now, in various ways, starting with volunteer work that I did with a local parenting group, all the way through my degree, working with women, doing life coaching, and now working as a therapist and a guide, which is kind of between a coach and a therapist for me. A lot of my work digs into a lot of our crap, looking at our histories, looking at our family of origins, looking at our stories and where they all came from. The stories we tell ourselves in our heads about how we don't matter, or how we're not good enough, or how we will never be good enough, and all that crap that gets fed to us throughout our lives. And that's the work that I do in this world. Really looking at particularly internalized misogyny, how we have bought into the idea that women don't matter and that they aren't important, and unraveling that. So that is my work in a nutshell. That is everything that I do is about that, is about us connecting to who we are and letting go and moving past and saying, fuck you, I swear a lot, by the way, to these stories of that our culture feeds us about how we aren't important, how we don't matter, how we aren't good enough in a million different ways, right? So one of the things about our culture, our patriarchal culture that we all live in, that we were all raised in, is that it wants us disconnected. And it not only wants us disconnected from ourselves, from our own voice, from our own wisdom, from our own intuition. It wants us completely disconnected from that. It also wants us disconnected from each other. And the ways that that shows up in our lives is when we're judging others, when we rush in to fix things for others without giving them space to fix them themselves, when we should all over other people, right? Well, you should have done this, you should have done that. If you'd only done this, then this wouldn't have happened, right? Blah, blah, blah. And it has us in a space, particularly as women, where we don't look to other women as our comrades. We look at them as competition. They're competition for our men. They're competition for our female partners, their competition in the ways they mother, their competition for jobs, their competition for just the way we are in this world. We look at other women and we say, oh, she's too fat, she's too thin, oh, she's an awful mom, oh, she's a better mom than me, oh, um, she's a hot mess, oh, she has it all together. And we do all this comparing, and we compare them to ourselves. We compare women and we compare other women to each other. And it disconnects us. It doesn't allow us to see their humanity and their fullness. It doesn't allow them to be who and where they are. And the mirror of that is, it doesn't allow us to be who and where we are. Our culture wants us disconnected from each other. And it wants us disconnected from ourselves. It wants us disconnected from our body and from our own innate knowing, from our own intuition. We live in a culture that wants logic to reign supreme. And I believe that logic is important. My undergraduate degree is in physics. I worked as an engineer for over a decade. I believe in logic. I believe in science. I have faith in these things, right? And I use them. They are part of who I am. And they are not the only truth and answer. We've all had feelings that we should or shouldn't do a certain thing, and we can't explain why. We just know. And oftentimes we're talked out of our knowing because it doesn't make sense, because there's no logic to it. And whatever turns out, turns out. But the point is, we're told not to listen to our guts, to our wombs, to ourselves. We're told that we can't trust ourselves. And that's a disconnect. And because if we can't trust ourselves, can we trust anyone? Right? Because eventually everyone fails, right? Everyone fails in some way or another. So how can we trust them? And so we're disconnected, and we continue this disconnection. And it feeds and feeds and feeds. Some of the ways to reconnect with ourselves is by connecting to our body. That's the first thing that I do with my circles and with women. I really, really strongly believe that we need to come into our bodies and we need to be okay in our bodies. We may not be comfortable, and it's okay to be uncomfortable, right? We may not love every part of our bodies, and that's okay too. We can get there, right? But to come in and start to notice our body, our physical sensations, to connect our mind and our body together, to get them working as a team. So we do breath work, some very basic exercises. We do body scans. I offer guided meditations to help you connect to where stories live in our bodies. That's another part of this work, right? Is connecting to all that is stored within our bodies. I firmly believe in cellular memory. I firmly believe in that trauma lives in our bodies, and I believe that trauma is passed down through the generations. And there's science to back me up on this, right? Epigenetics. That's all that's about, is how trauma is passed down generation to generation to generation, just through the act of being born. And then life happens and makes matters worse. The beauty of this part of our DNA and our body and our chemical and cellular makeup is that it can be changed. It can be healed. So as we do this work, as we connect to our bodies, as we listen to the stories that live within, and as we start to trust ourselves and our guts and be able to say, you know, I don't have a logical reason why I'm not going to do this thing, but I'm just not going to do this thing. I'm going to trust myself right now. As we are able to do that, we heal more and more and more. And not only are we healing ourselves, we're healing past generations worth of pain and trauma and harm. And it's hard work, and it's deep work, and it's messy work, and it is not fun work. It is not glamorous. It doesn't look pretty. There's nothing. I don't sell that idea, right? Becoming self-aware is hard and messy and gross and painful. And it sucks. I'll be really honest. It sucks sometimes. Aren't I a great marketer? Yeah, this work I do, it sucks. But it's true. It's true. It's not fun and it's not easy. And I believe that it's worth it, because this is how we are going to be able to change the world, right? As we start listening to ourselves and looking within and seeing the ways that we have been duped by our culture, right? To see the ways we've been lied to by our culture, to see the ways that we have unwittingly propagated the stories of our culture. As we become aware, we can start to do different, and we can change, and we can grow, and we can heal. And we will be different in the world. And as we are being different in the world, there will be ripple effects, and change will happen. But this isn't what our culture wants us to do, right? Our culture doesn't want us doing this. It doesn't want us to connect to our bodies. It doesn't want us to connect to our knowing. It doesn't want us to connect to the women we are. It wants us disconnected. And to that I say, fuck you, right? I say, fuck you to the culture. Because I don't like feeling anxious. I don't like feeling depressed. I don't like feeling lonely. I don't like feeling lost. And those are all symptoms of being disconnected from yourself, from your body, from your spirit, from your soul, from those parts of your mind that you push away because they don't make sense. They don't have to make sense. We don't have to make sense, right? We don't. We can be unpredictable. And we are. We are. As humans, we are. And we can be. And doing this work allows us to be more and more. It allows us to break out of patterns and out of habits and to do and be different in the world. to feel more at home in our own skin and our own bodies, to be able to walk confidently in the world, to use our voice, to speak who we are and what we believe strongly and firmly without apology. That's what becoming reconnected to yourself allows you to do. So I want to share in the last couple minutes of this video an exercise that you can do to help you reconnect to your body, just connecting to your breath. It's a very simple exercise. I've shared it in many of my circles many times because it's something that you can do at any time of day, at any point. Like you don't need to be sitting on the meditation cushion. You don't need to be, have the incense lit. None of that needs to be happening. You're welcome to make it happen, but it doesn't need to be. And it is simply counting your exhales in rounds of 10. So I'll do a round with you, okay? If you like, you can close your eyes, but you don't have to. And just sit and focus and notice your breath for a few moments. And then begin counting the exhales. And I'm going to count mine aloud. And you do it in rounds of 10, and I'm just going to do 10. And then you're welcome to continue on if you like. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. You can count 3 exhales, like whatever you need to do to just connect to your breath, connect to your body. It's a small step. You can do it at any point during the day. If you're starting to feel anxious, count your exhales. If you're starting to feel really sad, just notice and connect to your breath and count your exhales. If you're feeling overwhelmed, count your exhales, right? Like you're not feeling anything, you're feeling fine, count your exhales. Connect to your body, right? Start connecting to your breath. Start noticing what your body's doing. The point of the exercise is to notice. It's not to regulate your breathing, though you're welcome to do that. But it's not the point. It's to notice the exhales and put a focus on, now I'm exhaling. Now I'm exhaling. Now I'm exhaling, right? To notice your body and what it's doing. So the next video will be out in a few days, and I hope that you watch it, and I'm sending you love, and I will see you soon.